Mr. President.
The Senator from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come to the Senate floor today to talk about a question that's been bothering me. Who is this Senate supposed to be working for? For years now, this economy has been great for those at the top, but for everyone else, it's getting harder and harder to make it from paycheck to paycheck, harder and harder to build any real security. The world is changing, and Congress can make decisions that help working people stay in the game and help level the playing field, or we can just turn our backs. So what have Republicans done over the past 6 months to try to make families a little more secure, to give people a fighting chance? What have they done? They have turned their backs. In the past 6 months, they have burned huge amounts of time as they try to shut down Homeland Security, tried to build a pipeline to help a Canadian oil company, tried to turn a human trafficking bill into a referendum on abortion, and now try to defund Planned Parenthood. All this instead of working on the kind of issues that would help level the playing field for hard-working people. You know, there's a lot we could do. For example, Democrats have been fighting to raise the minimum wage, and I strongly agree. No one should work full-time and still live in poverty. I think that a $7.25 an hour minimum wage is disgraceful. I support the federal bill to raise the minimum wage to $12 by 2020, and I applaud the fight for 15 that's springing up across this country. When I'm asked about whether or not we should raise the minimum wage, I have three answers: yes, yes, yes. But raising the minimum wage is only the beginning. Half of low-wage workers have little or no say over when they work, and an estimated 20 to 30% are in jobs when they can be called into work at the last minute. Now, I just want you to think about what this means for someone who is busting her fanny trying to build some economic security. Imagine trying to plan for anything, for childcare, for going back to school, for getting a second job, without knowing when you'll be working next week. Imagine trying to plan a monthly budget when your work hours and your paycheck can fluctuate 70% in a single month. Imagine trying to schedule a doctor's visit or parent-teacher conference. If you could get fired just for asking for a few hours off. This is the real world of millions of workers who struggle to make ends meet. Now, this is something we can fix. A few weeks ago, I introduced the Schedules That Work Act with 17 Democrats here in the Senate and more than 60 Democrats in the House of Representatives. The bill, just common sense and basic fairness. A single mom should know if her hours are being canceled before she arranges for daycare and drives halfway across town to show up at work. A young man trying to put himself through school should be able to request a more predictable schedule without getting fired just for asking. And a worker who is told to wait around on call for hours with no guarantee of work should get something for her time. The Schedules That Work Act does just two simple things. First, it gives all workers the right to request a change in a schedule without getting fired just for asking. And second, it gives workers who face the worst scheduling practices, workers in retail, food service, and cleaning workers, 2 weeks' notice of their work schedules and some additional pay if they're required to wait on call but don't get any work. Now look, this bill recognizes that there are emergencies, and when employers have unexpected needs, they can reschedule their workers. But we're asking for a little basic fairness so that in ordinary times, day by day, week by week, workers will have a stable schedule and a chance to build some real economic security. Democrats want to get to work on changes in the law that would give working people a fighting chance. We want Republicans to let us take up these proposals and let us vote on them. Instead, Republicans are pushing a different agenda, focusing on defunding women's health care and protecting those at the top. You know, people say that Washington doesn't work, but that's wrong. Washington works great for the right people. When the corporate lobbyists want a carve out or a giveaway, when a giant oil company wants the Keystone Pipeline, or when Citibank wants to blast a hole in Dodd-Frank, Republicans fall all over themselves to make it happen. When the right wing wants to cut off access to health care, Republicans are ready to go. But when it comes to the things that will help families, they turn their backs. This has to stop. We are not here to work for the lobbyists. We're not here to make life easier for big oil companies or for big banks. We're here to make this country work for hardworking Americans. That's our job. And it's time for this Republican Senate to start doing that job. Let's take up and pass the Schedules That Work Act. Let's give working families a fighting chance to build a future. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.